Struggling with parsing Hebrew verbs? Feel like you just need something to hang your hat on? I've been there. And here are 3 simple tricks to help you parse Hebrew verbs. I'm JC Schroeder, and this is Bite-Sized Greek and Hebrew. Number 1, let the call be your guide. When I first started learning Hebrew, I tried to brute memorize every single form, each stem, each conjugation, everything. But that just led to frustration and confusion. What is better is to use the call as a template for all of the other forms. If you simply memorize the call and then a few additional markers for each of the stems and conjugations, you are off to the races. This simplifies the amount of brute memory work that you have to engage in. For me, this process has allowed for much easier parsing. Number 2, perfect or imperfect. There is a simple and easy differentiation between your perfect conjugation and your imperfect conjugation. And what's cool about this trick is it works for all stems, not just the call, not just the hifil, but all of them. So when you're looking at a perfect verb, any perfect verb, it's going to have suffirmatives. Suffirmatives are forms that are attached to the end of the root that indicate the person, number, and gender of that verb. So the perfect conjugation only has suffirmatives. So if you're looking at a verb and you're trying to decide, is it imperfect or perfect? If it has only suffirmatives, only things at the end, you know it is perfect. Now on the opposite end is the imperfect conjugation, which has preformatives, meaning letters or forms on the front of the root. These also indicate the person, number, and gender of that verb. So if you're trying to decide, is your verb perfect or imperfect, if you have something on the front of your verb, on the front of your root, then you know it is imperfect. Now, some forms in the imperfect also have suffirmatives, but not all of them. But they all have the preformative, something on the front. So for the imperfect, if you have that preformative on the front, you know it's imperfect. For perfect, if it has that suffirmative and no preformative, then you know for 100% sure it is a perfect. Now remember, there are other things that you can attach to the front and back of a Hebrew verb. We're thinking just of the preformatives and the suffirmatives. But if you can locate those, you can easily differentiate between perfect and imperfect. Remembering this is just one less thing your brain has to try to process while you're parsing. It's a quick hack. Number 3, parallel personal pronouns. So if you compare the endings on this Hebrew verb to your independent personal pronouns, notice how there are a lot of similarities. The third person doesn't really work, but the second and first person have a whole lot of parallels to them. Notice your second person masculine singular, katalta. This parallels to the independent pronoun ata. Notice the second person feminine singular, katalt, parallels with at. Your first common singular, katalti, corresponds with your independent pronoun ani. Your second person masculine plural, and then the feminine plural, kataltem and katalten, parallels with the personal pronouns again with atem and aten. Then for your first person common plural, katalnu, you have anaknu. So you see that there are a lot of parallels that can really help you in deciphering the morphology of your Hebrew verbs. Now, if you want one bonus tip for your morphology for your third person, for the masculine singular, that's the lexical form. You already know, katal. And for the feminine singular, it's katala. Notice the kametz he at the end, which looks like a feminine noun. And to round it out, your third plural is katalu. So that's a helpful way to remember your Hebrew parsing. This trick works for all stems, but only in the perfect conjugation. There are a lot more things we can say about parsing, but these 3 tips can go a long way to help demystify Hebrew verbs and their parsing.